Welcome to the HyperEVM. Today is the perfect day to talk about HyperEVM because there's so much going on right now. We're gonna talk about what's HyperEVM, why is now time to pay attention, how to use it, what are my favorite projects, how to get the best yields. Also, shout out to other creators on HyperLiquid, and at the end, we're gonna talk about some critics and FUD. Let's get started. What's the HyperEVM? You can see it here on the official HyperLiquid documentation. The HyperEVM consists of EVM blocks built as part of HyperLiquid's execution, inheriting all security from HyperBFT consensus. Hype is the native gas token on the HyperEVM. What does this mean? Basically, before we had HyperEVM, there was not much you could do with Hype. Now there's a lot you can do with the Hype token on the HyperEVM. You can use a ton of different decentralized apps on HyperLiquid, on HyperEVM. You can borrow against your Hype. You can do this, for example, on Felix or on Hyperland. But you can also trade NFTs on Drip Trade. You can do options on Rysk protocol. So there's a lot of new innovation happening, and it's really now time to pay attention. We are in the middle of the HyperEVM summer of 25. Why and how is HyperEVM different compared to other EVM chains? The big difference lies in the core writer. The core writer allows any HyperEVM project to tap into Hypercore, to tap into the billions of liquidity on Hypercore. And this is interesting because it solves the chicken and egg problem all the other DeFi projects had in the past. We have seen a ton of innovation happening already since the core writer is live. We've seen Kinetic, which is the first liquid staking solution for Hype, and they grew like crazy. They are now at 800 million in TVL, and they're like not even 2 weeks old. So there's a lot of need for those solutions, and the interest is of course there. And also not just Kinetic, but also Rysk, I just mentioned. They are doing interesting option stuff which wouldn't be possible without the core writer. So HyperEVM will bring us more DeFi innovation and already brought us more DeFi innovation than we have seen in the past. So why now? There are a lot of reasons why you should pay attention right now. The first reason is that the basic infra is tested and it works. You're no longer the first user where it's like risky to connect a wallet or something. We have seen small projects starting and getting really big really fast. So Hyperland, Felix, Hyperswap, all those projects, they started as small startups, but they got a lot of traction really fast. So Felix is over 500 million in TVL. Hyperswap is doing great. Hyperland is doing great. So there's a ton of interesting and native projects on the HyperEVM I love to use, but you don't have to use them. If you don't want to use new projects, you can also go with OG DeFi projects like Pendle, for example. They just started to support HyperEVM. So now more and more OG DeFi projects also support the HyperEVM. So you could use HyperEVM without relying on newer projects. You can simply go to Pendle and trade the PT and YT tokens there and still be a user of HyperEVM, but you don't have to use all the new projects. So this was a big step in the right direction we see right now. And also, by the way, Pendle, they just started yesterday supporting HyperEVM and already grew to like 46 million in TVL. So the demand for those products is definitely there. So if you are the OG project and thinking about supporting HyperEVM, it's a good idea to do that. And the next point, Circle finally is supporting HL, which is really fresh off the press, so to say. The announcement just happened today. It really took them a long time to do this, but now USDC or Circle, the company behind USDC, will support HyperLiquid and is, of course, this is a huge step for HyperLiquid and also HyperEVM, because in the past, USDC was only on Hypercore, and even there it was not natively supported, so you had to use the Arbitrum bridge to get USDC on your Hypercore and to start trading. So yeah, it's a really important step, and also of course leads to more trust. And on the HyperEVM we will also see USDC. Right now there is USDT, USDHL, and some other stable coins on HyperEVM, but I understand that a lot of users also want to use USDC on HyperEVM, and this will be possible from now on. Also, this will will bring more liquidity to HyperEVM. So now is a great time, but it's still not that many users. So we have still a lot of time, still a lot of new projects coming up where it's easier to gain points to basically give feedback, make the projects better. And from my point of view, if you got the HyperLiquid airdrop, it's also the right thing to do to support builders on HyperEVM. So just don't celebrate the airdrop and keep your hype all on HyperLiquid and do nothing with it. I don't say that you have to risk all your hype. Of course, be careful with that, but you should be a user of HyperEVM. So how do you become a user? It's easy. You need a wallet. I use a Rabi wallet, but you can also use other wallets. Tholos also supports HyperEVM, which is interesting for institutions. If you want to become an institutional user, for example, also stake your hype with Kinetic or stuff like that, I recommend to check out Tholos for that because, of course, security is a big concern there. You can also add the network if it's not supported directly in your wallet. It's chain number 999. And after you have done that, all you have to do is you need to send hype to your wallet for the gas fees, but also of course to use the hype and become active on HyperEVM. You don't have to send a lot of hype because transactions are quite cheap. So you could send some hype and also USDT or other stables or any like other assets that are supported on HyperEVM. So also Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, Fiatcoin, all those are supported on HyperEVM as well, thanks to Unit Protocol. And you can send hype from either your exchange. If you use Bitcoin or any other centralized exchange, you can withdraw hype to HyperEVM, or you can, which is what I do, you can simply withdraw hype from Hypercore by transferring it to the EVM. So that's that. That's basically how you become a HyperEVM user. Next part, what are my favorite projects? This question is always really hard to answer because there's so many new interesting projects coming up, and I try to support all builders on Hypercore, on HyperEVM, or on HyperLiquid in general. But from my experience, I really like Kinetic, and I stake my hype with Kinetic, which gives you K hype, and you can use the K hype you get in other places as well on HyperEVM. For liquidity providing, I would recommend to check out Project X, Hyper, and HyperSwap. Generally speaking, it is always a good idea to provide liquidity on smaller protocols because it's easier to gain points there. So if you don't have a ton of money, it will be really hard for you to gain significant points on Felix or Hyperland. At least for now. It was easy in the beginning, but now it got really hard if you don't park a lot of money there. So if you don't have a ton of hype, I would recommend to check the newer projects and provide liquidity on there. For borrowing, I really like Sentiment because I can borrow against K hype on there, and you just pay like 3% APY on lending or borrowing USDE against your K hype. And what I do, I take the USDE and I put them on here on the Hyperbeat USDT vault. So you can see here you can deposit USDT, USDE, USR, and USDHL. So I just borrow USDE on sentiment and deposit it on here and get the 18% APY, and also farm some different airdrops with that. You can see here all the different rewards you get. You get the HyperBeat hearts, you get HyperFi points, you get HyperSwap points, or at least you used to, because HyperSwap points is done, is over. You also get some Athena points. You can see a Resolve points, Felix points, and also Hyperland points. So this is probably the easiest way, or one of the easiest ways, to park some stables, get 18% APY, plus also get a lot of different points which you wouldn't get if, like, to get the same points I would need to use all those projects, which is quite time consuming. So yeah, HyperBeat definitely worth to check out. Yeah, I also like Harmonix when it comes to vaults. They can also, you can see here, they give you also like 18% APY and Harmonix points. So yeah, there are a lot of different things you can do on the HyperEVM. But regarding innovation, I want to shout out Liminal and Rysk, because both of those projects, they are doing things I have not seen done before on other chains. So Liminal.money, they are doing farming rate, funding rate farming. So you can see here you get 14.22% APY on USDC. You can also, of course, check out the pro mode, and there are a lot of different things you can do, but you can see here basically what are they doing. They are farming the funding rates on those different assets on Hypercore. So perp traders, they pay funding fees, and you get to farm those without having to do the stuff yourself. So you don't have to put on short positions yourself or other things to farm the funding rate. It's just you park USDC on Liminal, and they just announced that they are not whitelist only anymore, so everybody can use Liminal money now and get 14% APY plus Liminal airdrop, because they don't have a token. So speculation only. I don't know if they want to are gonna do a token, but always good to be an early user. And also you get to farm the unit airdrop as well, because you can see here Pump, Bitcoin, Fartcoin, and Sol. Those assets, you can, if you check them on here, you can farm them as well. And those are supported on Hypercore by Unit Protocol. And also Unit has no token. So yeah, you get to farm that airdrop as well. So that's for innovation with Liminal. The other interesting project regarding innovation is Rysk. Rysk.finance looks like this. Really hard to get into this one, because the caps, they get filled really fast. You can see here again, 99% of caps are sold. There's a lot of demand for covered call options on HyperEVM. So what you can do, you can take your K-Hype. So you stake your hype with Kinetic, you get K-Hype, and you can see here, you go to earn, and you can say that you want to sell your hype on August 29th, which is in 29 days. And you can set the strike price on here. And of course, the lower you set it, like if you set $46 as a strike, your K hype would get sold if we are at above $46 on the 29th of August. But yeah, you can see here you get the upfront USDT on that, which comes down to 73% in APR. But if you want to play it safe, I would recommend to check the higher strike prices, so your K hype don't get sold off. But really interesting to see that. And of course also You can do this with other assets. You can do this with ETH, with Pump, and with Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, to be able to sell covered call options on an altcoin like Pump is quite unique, and we have not seen this also with like deep liquidity until now. So HyperEVM enables this form of innovation. So for NFTs, you can buy on DripTrade, which is the biggest NFT platform for HyperEVM or for HyperLiquid NFTs. And for OG projects, you can use Pendle and Balancer. Both of them started to support HyperEVM. To check all the different projects, I like to use DeFi Llama. You can see on here, we have the nice overview of the different protocols on HyperEVM. We have Kinetic, which is, I just mentioned, the biggest liquid staking solution on HyperEVM. They just started like not even 14 days ago and already are at 800 million in TVL, which is insane. Like there's projects out there that have been building for years that don't have 800 million in TVL. Yeah, so also Hyperland, Felix, I like to use as well, Hyperbeat, Hyperfi. So just play around with those projects. If you have any questions, just ask under this video. I try to answer those questions there. So overall, I would say the UI, the UX on HyperEVM is really, really good. So even if you are a beginner, it should be not too complicated for you to become active on the HyperEVM. Of course, if you go lower on this list, the risk tends to increase because, of course, the smaller the project is, they like if they have like 20k or some small number in TVL, those are of course riskier than the protocols that already have like 100 million in TVL, which I mean makes sense. So just be careful on that one. But let's keep going with the best yields. And I mean, there's a lot of different strategies you could do. And I'm by no means an expert in like looping strategies or something like that. I've seen this over and over again, but I'm really, really hesitant to loop my K hype or any other form of hype too much because I don't want to get liquidated. But yeah, basically, what can I share with you? Look for at least 10% APR on stables. I don't touch anything below 10% APR on stables because it just doesn't make sense. So for stables, I have showed you the Hyperbeat Vault. Harmonix is good. Liminal also good. And Pendle now also does interesting fixed rates on stables. So if that's interesting for you, you can check Pendle. And for liquidity providing, I think Project X and Hypera and also GLiquid, those have really interesting APYs. Of course, it depends on the range you take for your hype to stable pair. I think like 40 to 46 or 40 to $48 is a good range to have. When hype is like ranging, you get to make some fees on that front and also get the points. If you want to have the biggest projects regarding liquidity providing, I can recommend HyperSwap, and also, which is interesting if you are afraid of impermanent loss, I recommend to check out. You have also on this list, it's on here, Liminar. Sorry, not Liminal, it's Volantis. Volantis, basically, they allow you to do liquidity providing without having an impermanent loss. So, which is also interesting. They are at 68 million in TVL. So, yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff happening on HyperEVM. But I also want to take the time to shout out some other creators because, as I just said, I'm not the expert for all those different strategies. I love to show some light on other creators that are way better regarding the strategies on HyperEVM itself. So Obese Potato, one of my favorite accounts to follow. He does a lot of great tweets on these strategies you can do, and just check his highlights. You can see how you can farm the Project X airdrop with just like $1,000, or also Hybra, all the stuff. So yeah, check him. And also interesting to share with pics on chain. I mean, he's quite big, so not a small account to shout out. But why I want to shout out him as well is that he did this nice website called HyperEVM.farm. You can go there and just put like how much money you want to put in the HyperEVM, and it generates a strategy for you that you could follow. One thing to mention there is, of course, this doesn't include all the new projects, which is also quite impossible because there's so much going on. But this is a good starting point for you if you want to get started on HyperEVM. So the site is hyperevm.farm. Yeah, that's about that. Let's keep going with some critics and FUD for the end. I mean, there's not too much critics and FUD about HyperEVM itself. It's more, I think, some people that don't really understand where HyperLiquid is coming from and what's their goal with HyperEVM. So in the beginning, we've seen some critics or some people speaking out that there is not enough happening on HyperEVM. So they imagined HyperEVM to be ready out of the gate, which just doesn't work that way. Like if you think about where Ethereum was 2019, 2020, 2021, and where Ethereum is today regarding their DeFi projects, it takes years to build this. And if you think, okay, HyperEVM is now a few months in and already has 2 billion in TVL, a ton of traction, a ton of innovation, no big hacks until now, not many like low quality projects. There have been some, but overall, I would say that the project quality on HyperEVM is really, really good and better than other chains. One criticism was, okay, there's not that many users, which might be an issue for you if you want to build on HyperLiquid. But I would say this is also changing quite fast. So now with USDC supporting, with Pendle supporting HyperEVM, all of this will get us more users on the HyperEVM. And once you are on HyperEVM, once you have your wallet, once you have Hype on there, it's really easy to just play around and use other projects as well. So another criticism was the high gas fees. This is not really an issue. It's just if there's a lot of FOMO going on, and like if you want to mint an NFT in this 1 hour of the day, it could become expensive. But there are many ways to mitigate that. So you can play with your gas fee settings, of course, and overall the gas fees on HyperEVM are quite low. I think average is like 4 cents per transactions or even below that. So yeah, don't get too I don't have any concerns or worries on that one. And one criticism or one smaller thing was there's no USDC native support, which changed today. So yeah, that's everything for today on HyperEVM. Let me know your questions, let me know your feedback. I love to do this, and looking forward to the next